Yeah,
It's
I'm gonna
up to
kick
you,
it off.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, Joe, what's going on, man? We're back for another episode here. And I'm super excited that we were able to collab here because there's so many things happening in the experiential space, from new festivals, events. There's a bunch of conferences happening. It's like the second wave as we go into the fall. I know you've been on the road. You've had actually in a new opportunity. So congratulations to you there. And yeah, I wanted to let's kick it off. Like, so what's been going on in your world? What's been happening?
Yeah, I mean, well, thank you for that, Marcus. And I know it's been a little bit.
Yeah,
I think when we're sharing this out, people are going to be like, "Oh my God, they're still doing this." Because
yeah,
I've had some people inquire about us and our series that we've started, and now it's been going on for almost 2 years.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's a really great way. There's a lot of people that enjoy it, and even the people that are outside of our industry, I believe that's what we do this for, like from the creatives to the production to the agency to the brand to people that are outside of experiential events altogether. That's who you and I are representing right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I've seen how you're doing your travels lately. I've kind of felt almost like FOMO from it. I'm like, Marcus is
No, man.
I thought I was on the road a lot at one point, but Marcus has been just going everywhere.
I've
So
been on the road, man.
but
Like and the evolution of engagement as we think about the what, like you said, who we're servicing and the people that we want to make sure know about the evolution of experiential across digital AI, in-person events. Like, it's been a lot. And coming out of Cannes Lions this year, like, I just found that other surge of seeing everything happening there, and then saying, okay, there's a new space where AI is definitely impacting how we are communicating with events, but at the same time, like, experiential is still gold, right? Like,
right.
brands are still wanting to do big things. And so, yeah, I think you've seen it
It's
recently. Yeah. So,
it's definitely been one of the biggest things. I mean, I haven't been hitting as much the last few months, just
yeah.
with some changes from a career standpoint, geographic. Moving to San Francisco at the end of August, so
Yes,
big move
huge.
from Western New York there. So a lot of changes, but I had the chance to go to Vegas and see the F1 experience within the paddock back in June, which was really cool. Saw all the activations that you were sharing and people were sharing on Cam Lion. So like, I'd love to kind of hear what your take is on that. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, to announce, my changes. I recently went brand side, which is,
Congratulations.
a shocking revelation for a lot of people,
Yes.
going agency for the last 10 years. I was doing tour management, production, and now sales, and then shifting gears to brand side. So I'll be working with Dolby. They do from everything from sight and sound. I mean, Vision, Dolby Atmos for their surround sound, and
Yeah.
it's been mesmerizing. I was just in San Francisco this week, meeting with everyone and going through the demos and the Dolby Cinema, and it just talk about a brand that breathes experiential just by its inherent product and its inherent design and nature. So it's really been awesome. Yeah, and moving out to San Francisco for that. So I'll be on the marketing team for the global experiential, um, the division, and that's led by a woman named Yvonne Healy, and she is actually part of that XP land that I think you've probably seen before.
Yeah.
So she's part of that, and also Dolby's just done some really cool stuff recently. I've been sharing a lot of their stuff on LinkedIn, just saying like, check what they had out back in 2019. They had a Soho House in New York City. They showed up at South by Southwest 2023 in a massive takeover of that Brazos Hall, and then they recently showed up at 2025 doing like a Rivian partnership with their mobile Airstream. So like, there's just a lot of different areas that they focus on from an experiential standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, there's one key thing that I want people who are tuning in to, who are catching this, is to explain the difference. I know we've done it before, but like, brand versus an agency. Like,
Right.
what are some key? Give me two key things that are the difference between working brand side versus agency side.
I mean, it's hard for me to give you everything brand side. I've only
Yeah.
been, three weeks in. I wouldn't say I'm an expert on that nature of it, but I'll say, look, everyone knows agency side. If even if you are on brand, I mean, you can just kind of put two and two together. Agency side is volatile, but also extremely interesting because you're always working with different clients and different brands and doing different things a lot of times.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a startup area, you kind of have to wear all the different hats, right?
Yeah.
However, on the brand side, I would argue that if you're with a brand that truly is breathing experiential, and that doesn't mean you have to be a product. It could be a CB, a consumer packaged good product. It could be a product like a tech company like Dolby. But then it could also be, something else entirely. And if you have that mindset of experiential and events, you know, a brand has the ability to really conceptualize something from the early on start of like everything, and so it's a really great opportunity to learn. At the same time, I think brand side really gives you a fresh take on experiential because you really have to be creative towards how are you actually going out there and interacting with your consumers. A little bit of a caveat to all that, or like an asterisk at the end of that whole like kind of description,
Yeah.
is the B2B B2C argument, right? Like I
Yep.
know everyone wants to say that they're meshed together these days, and they kind of are. You're seeing what's working at a Cannes or a CES. You could argue are the same kind of methodology or tactics that you should use toward like a pop-up or a festival activation, and then vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, at the end of the day, B2B and B2C do solve different problems. So when you look at an agency, they're trying to strategize and figure out how to achieve the thing that the brand sent over in a brief, right? What are the objectives, and then how do we achieve
Yep.
those objectives? B2B or B2C. When you're on the brand side, from what I'm gathering and experiencing, those are both so different challenges to try and like figure out, and then also come together as a team and be like, okay, look, like B2B, B2C, these are different. I mean, we can mesh certain tactics together, but at the end of the day, like the objectives are different. The end consumer is a little different. I mean, if
Yep.
you're B2B, Dolby goes to CES and does a massive activation every year, and it's all B2B. B2C is a little bit different, and also something they've not dipped their toes in as much.
Yeah.
Something they're looking to do and want to down the road. So, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm answering all of the question,
Yeah.
but certainly, yeah.
I think like the key thing that a lot of people want to understand is that like in a brand, you are really focused on one, the bottom line, and the product that you're selling to your partners, right? Like, so you mentioned Obi, but they have partners who buy their products to put into their own products, if that's cars, if that's buildings, if that's at large events, so it's being able to get your product in there. And then from a B2C standpoint, it's getting consumers excited to want to see that product and get to understand how that product can be used in their everyday lives. And I think like you said something perfect. It's like the agency is from an agency side, like you're hearing what a brand wants to accomplish, and you're taking those objectives and those strategies and implementing them into a creative that reaches consumers. Where on
Right.
the brand side, you're coming up with the objective, you're coming up with the strategy based on what you're trying to accomplish in the marketplace, what your competitors are doing, and being able to put that into a document that can be even shared with the agency or passed internally to another creative team. And I think those are kind of the two distinctive differences when working on a brand where you're just solely working on one brand versus an agency where you're inbounding those briefs that come in for you to work on. So
Right.
yeah, man, I'm excited for you to be on the brand, and
I
look
mean,
forward to seeing what you have.
I appreciate it. I mean, I will go as far as to say just kind of learning so much lately of the last few weeks here, and just even realizing like how many of like the Dolby cinemas they have around the globe. Like I think there's like over 200 around the globe, and then there's
Wow.
certain theaters that are like equipped with Dolby Atmos, like the whole sound system and everything. Like there's over like 2,000 of them. Like it's because that's why I say that brand inherently breathes experiential, because by
Mhm.
nature, if I'm going to one of those Dolby cinemas, and I don't know if you've ever seen a film in one of them, but it's like you truly are, immersed in that world because of the
Yeah,
visuals and the sound and everything. So regardless, I mean, of an activation itself, you could look at that as a B2B, B2C kind of thing, like they
yeah,
show up at the Oscars with the Dolby Theater, and it's like, well, yeah, people are like, holy crap, this is experiential by nature,
yeah, yeah.
so
It's in there.
it's interesting, and certainly a lot of partners, like you mentioned, like the brands from Apple to Samsung to like all these brands that you could almost say are like competitors but aren't, because they're looking to have the best quality
Yeah,
experience for their end users. So Dolby enables that, and has partners, so it's a really fundamental shift here on my end, and I'm really excited for it. So but
yeah,
that's kind
yeah.
of
I
that's
love
kind of
it.
my journey. Yeah.
I was at Cannes this year, and at Cannes, I was able to go over to Amazon Space, and this year they showed off their products. And when I say their products, like Amazon's the hub, but you have Amazon Studio, you have Twitch, you have their creator partners, their shop. Like they had all these different pieces that make up the Amazon ecosystem. And one thing that Amazon does really well is as soon as you walk through the door, you're immersed and you're in Amazon land. Like there is
Right.
no other place. You don't even get confused. And I saw that a lot with brands at Cannes Lions this year, and even LinkedIn, our good friends at LinkedIn, this was the first year they leaned into their creator
Okay.
atmosphere, right? Like, when we went
It was
and
just
we
the
met
roof.
up
It was
there,
just the
it's just a
rooftop, and it
room.
was like, yeah, I remember
It was
that.
all
I mean,
it was all B2B.
yeah,
It's
because they were
super
doing
B2B.
headshots, but they weren't doing anything really else. I remember. Yeah, yeah.
No, this year it was really focused on creators on their platform, people who are leaning into that long form, leaning into video content like we have been doing, and we constantly input into their platform. And you started to get a peek behind the curtain of what they're trying to do. And same thing with, Pinterest has a beautiful setup at Cannes Lions, and they definitely were like, they know what works, right? Pinterest knows what
Right.
works. It can, and they know to show off their products. They show off the ease of using their platforms, but it definitely had that B2B feel. So those are some of my favorite activations. Of course, Meta did their thing like always.
Yeah.
This year they had a skate park studio where they had directors come and help you
Hmm.
create reels. And then as soon as your video is done, they shoot all the video inside of the app, and then they edit it for you, and then you could post it right then and there. Unlike, a photo booth where you just take the picture and it's just whatever the output is, it's all
Right.
customized to that user. So I really like that they, changed their kind of vision there overall, because it was a user-friendly, like consumer-friendly type of activation that they were able to implement at Cannes.
It seems like brands are going bigger and bigger at Cannes, even though again, this was my experience early on this year, that brands were looking to maybe do more individualized experiences throughout the year as opposed to trying to show up at every tentpole event.
Yeah,
But Cannes Lion is still one of those ones that like
still
people
number
just
one.
don't, yeah, people don't want to miss that. Even though I did hear there
Yeah,
was some pretty great turnouts at what was it, the San Diego Comic Con. I heard like San
yeah.
Diego was truly
It was
transformed.
a lot of brands showed up there. I have a friend that works on Old Spice, and they were there, and I was trying to figure out, like, all right, what's the connection? But they had either it was Captain America or Superman, but that was their tie into the Comic Con space, is using the characters, superheroes, to kind of draw that attention of that audience to sell their product. It goes back to understanding your audience from a consumer standpoint and knowing what's the hook there. And the hook was, all right, we're going to use, I wish I knew, remember, but Captain America or Superman, probably Superman. And that was the tie into the brand. So yeah, man. So what's coming up for you here in August, September? I think, are you going on the road, or you hitting some
Well,
conferences?
I'm definitely hitting the road from an old school experiential standpoint. Like I am hitting the road and we are driving across the country. But from a professional standpoint, I'm going to the Biz Bash Innovation Forum. That's in
Okay.
Miami at the end of the year. So more of an industry event than it is,
Hmm.
where you'd be seeing a lot of activations. However, I'm a little intrigued as to what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
I've been to a
Are you
few different
speaking?
biz. No, I'm not speaking,
Okay.
but I've been to a few different Biz Bash, events before. I've been to a sports forum, and
Mhm.
that was at like the HQ of Under Armour, and that was really cool and really like immersive of an opportunity to learn and just be educated from like an insight standpoint. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to is kind of seeing what are the innovative approaches toward events and experiential. You see them all the time. BizBash hosts them, event marketer hosts them, XP Land is another. Like you
Yeah.
kind of see all these different associations or communities growing and growing and growing. And so, you know, I'm trying to see where else to maybe go after August because I think
Yeah.
that's going to be the pressing one is like where does Dolby show up? And
Yeah.
obviously they've done South by in the past. CES is always a major one. There's a few other on the docket that I can't share, but there's
Yeah.
going to be things that are coming up, and I really want to see what brands are going to do for the rest of the year from a tentpole event standpoint. So I'd
Yeah.
like to see if they're going to show up at Art Basel this year. Like there wasn't that many last year. Like
No.
I was not impressed with Art Basel activations. So
Basel definitely had a shift this past year. I think that TwitchCon is going to be a huge one for a lot of
that's
brands, even if
yeah,
they don't activate. It's more to go see what is changing and how Twitch is becoming one of those leading platforms where brands want to show up, and they don't know fully how just yet because it's live, right? So like you only can control so much live, but they know that these streamers are going backpack. They go in real life where
yeah.
they're moving around with their platform versus like sitting in front of a computer. And so I think that is something that is very intriguing. I think also this past, maybe it was last month, Fanatic Fest, I think the card
Saw
game is
that.
on
Yeah.
its. I think the cards and the trading there is about to hit that next wave. It came back during COVID, and then the Gary V's of the worlds and Fanatics, like
Yeah.
everybody got really into card trading, and so I think that like those two spaces are um, are really like that next wave for brands to show up.
Well,
And then,
the whole sports and gaming world
Mhm.
is something that you could almost argue. I wouldn't say I don't want to say like recession proof or can weather any economic storm, but like in a weird in an interesting way of
Yeah.
thinking. Gaming is something that people use when they need to have that escapism or they just have a passion to build like a computing system or just get really involved in that community of that particular game,
Mhm.
and then you look at sports and like that's always something that people have as like oh my god, this is what I'm going to do to from a hobby standpoint to a passion standpoint to a just overarching, like again in a gathering of people who share the same
Yeah.
interests. So these activations and these events that surround both sports and gaming, that actually makes sense. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you. Like, with the NFL obviously already starting up with preseason and then
Yeah.
well into
Yeah.
the season, we're going to see a lot of activations around that. And I do want to say real quick, I did not want to knock on Art Basel. I just want to say Art Basel is definitely changing in ways because
Yeah. Oh.
they're launching a new one in Qatar, if I'm not mistaken. So
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're coming out with their fifth one. So I mean, that art world is still growing substantially. It's
Yeah.
just different.
I think it just changed in Miami. Like Miami has its changes going on just with the city. And I think that impacts like when those big moments like
Right.
that come to the city. I am wondering if there is a QSR type of con, right? Like this past maybe 2 weeks ago, Wendy's had like this really cool drive-through for
Yeah. So
the Wendy
when
I forgot what it looks like.
The Wednesday
Wednesday.
Netflix. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
like that
yeah,
was cool to see that. And you even see like McDonald's just announced that they're doing McDonald Land where they're going to go to 5 different events and bring to life McDonald Land meal and the the product to consumers at 5 different events. And similar to the one that I did at Art Basel with the McNugget Buddies, and we did the same thing last year with the cups and bringing those to life. Like, so the collector's cup, like making those stories that are coming from the restaurants into real life activation, so consumers can they can lean into their fandom, right? Like, these fans love their products and they want to see it in real life. And so I think that there's a space where those brands are also saying, okay, we got to step it up. We got to bring to life our products so consumers can experience them, and then give them the food after. Like, the food is coming, food is first, but people want that experience, and then they're going to go after more items.
I 100% agree. I'm telling you, man, like some of these, obviously we're only halfway through, a little over halfway through 2025, but I'm already kind of eyeing 2026 as like where I kind of want to see what brands are going to do. Like, I believe you're part of that community called the Experiential Collective. It's run by my friend Kim, and we just had a meeting with the SVP of content for South by Southwest. She's part of South by Southwest, and she was a guest speaker, and she was talking about the changes with the IP of South by Southwest, right? Like, when we talk about it, especially for the people outside of our industry, they are looking at South by Southwest as this, evergreen place for creators, right? From independent and studio filmmakers to artists that are both alike, to comedians, to anything that's even part of tech and music and film, like all of it, right? So how that's evolving is really, really interesting to see, like what brands are going to look to show up, especially with the convention center being gone too. So like the city is, I don't know if you knew that about like the convention. I
think we talked about it last time. Yeah, man, that's insane.
It's just going to change the whole dynamic that I think a lot of these cities that have been predominantly like where you go for activations are also trying to find unique ways to draw in, brands that want to show up, right? So like, we think of Miami, I don't know, maybe they're thinking of different ways to bring people in. When I think of Boston, they're obviously trying to adapt with how South by Southwest has been evolving. I look at what was the other city that, like, I know you and I were kind of talking about at one point, I thought, but I know New York and San Francisco and LA are always kind of the hubs,
they're always top dogs. And I think and
no,
I think
I was gonna. Oh, no, go ahead, Marcus.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say about Vegas. I don't know if you've been reading about Vegas, but in the last couple days, the drop in tourism and attendance for like just people like going there has kind of been noticeable. But at the same time, I don't see Vegas ever not being a destination for.
It's still Vegas. I mean, I was just there for NBA Summer League, and I went for 2 days there, and I was a little saddened by. I went out one night and I was walking down the strip, and I'm like, there's nobody on the strip. Like, now maybe I was in the wrong area, but the area that I was in, this is where you're supposed to be. And then I went by a club, and the club didn't have any lines. And I'm like, yo, what is going on?
What night were you there? What night was this? Was it like a Tuesday night?
No, it was no, man. It was a Saturday. I went out on a Saturday night.
Okay, well, then that's weird. I've been to Vegas, and you look at a Tuesday night, and you're like, oh my god, there's nothing going on. But Saturday there should be.
It should be, but it's a daytime city, but it's too hot. It's like an oven there during the summertime. But one thing that I saw while I was there for another project, but NBA player Kyrie Irving was doing a 24-hour stream while he was there, and he's not playing. Of course, he's not playing in Summer League, but he's hanging out, and he's doing a live stream where he's just pulling up on a bunch of players. And so again, you see that dynamic of NBA players on content being a driver and brand. And because he owns all of his brands, like he's plugging all of his brands, but another brand could see that and say, we have to do this. We got to find our players to do streams with and bring to life their in real life experience while they're at an event like Summer League. And
Marcus,
we saw that.
I have a question for you, and I know we
Okay.
always like to do our question of the day when we do our LinkedIn Live, but my question is going to be directed at you because you're the only one that can answer it on this recording. But I want you to see if you can kind of like dive deep into all the things that you know about experiential in our business. Do you think more and more experiential moments and or activations will be done by people that have their own following or their own brand as opposed to a major brand doing an activation? So when I say that, I mean like Mr. Beast creating his own activations and his own thing. How you just mentioned, you know, someone using their following and their streaming and this moment to like interact with
Yeah.
these people. Like I wonder if it'll be more and more individualized experiential moments, if that makes sense, you know?
100%. It is definitely the individuals using their fandom to create their own experiences. They know they have the resources. Mr.
Right.
Beast is already doing it, right? Like he just
Yep.
records his, right, and puts it on a show. But if Mr. Beast took the games show that he had and put it out as an event at Art Basel or did it at South by Southwest, the lines would be insane.
Right.
And he can do it internally. He doesn't need, he'll probably outsource like some production stuff, but the heavy lifting he can do. And then his team can, work with partners. Same thing with Kai Cenat and the Amp Squad. Like they're very grassroots. And if you watch any of their YouTubes, you can see that they know that it's them that drives a lot of the interactions, not the brand. So they can host a pool party and put a bunch of brands in the pool party
Yeah.
because they know
Yeah.
the audience is going to come. And so I think you're right there. Like it's going to be individuals. You're going to see more individuals there.
I love that, man. Like I appreciate you answering it because I want to share that question out to actually like it kind of just came to mind right now when you were speaking about
Yeah,
that. And I was like, that might be the case as we see it shift toward dollars being spent, where like some brands are like, look, we can't show up at everything or we can't do this grandiose moment. And so maybe it makes more sense for like the person who's an advocate for this brand or someone who has the resources and the financial backing of like of an experience that they can just create. You know, I look at Red Bull as like a really great example throughout the years of like how experiential is done. And even
yeah,
just recently, I saw that one Instagram, I think it was on TikTok too, but that one Instagram reel of like the woman who was doing a like I think it was like a 9 course, like the hardest obstacle course that's ever been done or something. And she
yeah.
just goes through like 9 or 11 of them. I forget how many, and it's hardcore stuff. Like I was tired. Also, there was no audio overlay. It was just her and her mic, so you could hear her breathing and going through each exercise. And then it was all in one shot by Red Bull. You know, it was just all in one shot. And
Hmm.
while I'm looking at it from a social media through a device standpoint, like the experiential moment that like people could, you could recreate that somewhere. You could have people be there and just film this live action experience. And so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know, I know Red Bull is a major brand that does it, but I'm just saying from an individualized experience, you hit the nail on the head with that one. So,
Yeah. I mean, like Red Bull knows that they don't need to. Do they need help selling Red Bulls? No. Like Red Bulls, you can walk in the store right now and there's 4 different types of Red Bulls, and they're always getting picked up on the shelves. Like that's not
right,
a hard thing for them. But at the same time, they know we got to continue to build equity with new players because they're new players in the space, people who are finding new ways to find different types of energy products. And I mean, going back to Mr. Beast, I was in 7-Eleven recently. And Mr. Beast has his own candy, and he's got like 4 different trays of candy in on the shelf. And it's like, wait a minute, that's supposed to be the M&M spot, or that's supposed to be Reese's spot. Now
yeah,
that's Mr. Beast spot, and he knows that his not the kids, but it is kids too. They are watching him, and then when they get in the store, they're not saying, "Oh, I want M&Ms." No, they're saying, "Can I get a Mr. Beast bar?" And I heard that too, like
right.
in real life, and I was like, "Dang, that's crazy." You know that if he puts out anything from an experience standpoint, he can do it. Like, don't be surprised if you will see a Mr. Beast at a Disney World or like those kind of spaces where he know kids are going to be there, and his content is geared towards the 12 to 17-year-old kid, and
I
they're
mean,
capturing
I
the
think
audience.
you're right. You're right. I mean, I guess we'll keep seeing how that grows. But you know, I
Yeah,
appreciate you answering that. And you know, I wanted to at least say like this is really great for us to be able to kind of record and
yeah.
certainly talk about what's going on in the space. Is there anything that's on the horizon for you? And then you know we can kind of wrap it up there. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for me, like it is, I'm really focused on really getting to more speaking engagements,
yeah, yeah,
really just taking my knowledge out there to the spaces. I you know, one thing that's coming up across the board for a lot of brands is World Cup. World Cup is next year, so you're starting to see it kind of pick up a little bit. That brands want to be at World Cup and they want to make sure that they are, especially an athletic brand or even the products that the players use and fans use, you're going to start seeing that more and more over the next 18 months because World Cup is going to be another space where you can capitalize on the new football audience, right? And
yeah,
it's there's OG soccer fans, OG football fans, excuse me, and then there's these new fans that are learning the fandom, learning chants, learning, they're loving kids, right? Like you see so many people wearing jerseys all the time now because it's starting to, people are picking up on the fandom. And
yeah,
I guarantee you that the TV platforms that will be showcasing World Cup will have their own special houses or watch parties where they get to showcase their products and have it kind of masked inside of the World Cup fandom. You're going to see that. It's a guarantee.
I agree. I mean, it's great that you highlighted that particular sport because that one is
Yeah,
going to make waves, you know, globally, like truly.
yeah,
Um, but I will say that that's one of the key things about why you mentioned about the speaking engagements, and I wanted to just highlight, you know, that's one of the elements that I'm excited to kind of work with my global experiential team with Dolby because even though it sounds like a shameless plug, it's not supposed to. It's just like Dolby's truly trying to go do more experiential thought leadership and well into 2026, and we're going to see it with all the different sports and all the different events. Like Dolby touches on all those different things, so that's why we want to get more into the experiential thought leadership because just from the nature of sports and how that's being broadcasted, you know, just with Dolby, and then from all the partners through music and film and television, and then just other things like gaming, like you mentioned. So you know, I think there will be a lot more that we'll see of people like you and I who will want to speak more on these topics and dive
yep,
further into like the intricacies of it, like the storytelling, the emotional responses, the data points that come out of it, you know. So there's all these elements that you know, you and I will be able to speak on. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm
same.
hoping we'll keep doing more of these and truly
Yeah,
appreciate that we can highlight experiential for the world. Yeah.
I love it, man. That's the evolution of engagement, given the opportunity to highlight what's happening in the industry and the changes and how that's impacting careers and opportunities for those who are coming up in the industry, but those who are in the industry today.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad we're able to do that.
100%, 100%. Well, thanks,
Yeah,
Marcus, and glad
sure.
we could do it. And you know, happy Friday to you, my friend.
Happy Friday, man.